What up, y'all? Be right with you. Somebody just laid me on a nice 3-gram nugget of Gorilla Glue #4. So we're gonna toss it in our dome and see how it works. So somebody spurred a little debate the other day with me, and when they realized they were in over their head, I bailed and deleted all their comments and so on and so forth. And I wish they hadn't, because it was a very clear, distinct discussion that covered the pertinent elements of this that people don't seem to grasp. There's a lot of talk right now about qualified immunity, and so this video here is going to be specifically about qualified immunity and what it is and how it goes wrong. The qualified immunity stems from a statute. It's not an amendment. It's nothing like that. It stems from a statute that led to precedent being set up in the Supreme Court. And what it's there for is so that when a state actor, whether it be federal, state, law enforcement, politician, prosecuting attorney, district attorney, whatever they might be, if they were qualified immunity originally was if that state actor was acting in good faith, then they could not be held personally liable for mistakes that they made that led to damages of a person. In, I don't remember when, I don't remember what year it was. I think it was in the 80s. Could have been before. I'm not sure. But there was a case called Harlow versus Fitzgerald that went to the United States Supreme Court. And that changed from the acting in good faith to this reasonable officer would know standard. And that got mutated into what qualified immunity is today. So, the key to qualified immunity is not doing away with it. It has a purpose. It's a good statute. It does what it's supposed to do. What we need to do is close the loophole. That loophole was set up by Harlow versus Fitzgerald. Overturn that, and qualified immunity will straighten itself out. If you abolish qualified immunity, all that does is mean that the city will still have to carry insurance for liability in case their training leads to a civil rights violation. But if you strip the qualified immunity from the officers will also have to carry insurance, just like a doctor, which means they're not going to do it for the money they're doing it for now. They're going to increase their wages by 400% or so. So this whole qualified immunity thing is a red herring. Of the whole abolishing it and all of this, it's not going to do shit. It's not going to do a fucking thing. For one thing, it only applies in civil court. It only applies when you're suing for damages. Okay? Suing for damages has been going on for a long time. It's like $3 billion a year right now is what we're paying out as taxpayers for people who have filed 1983 cases against the government in one form or another. It's never going to change anything. The only way to stop people from behaving like criminals is to treat them like criminals. When they break the law, they get punished criminally. Suing them is never going to fucking do anything. Yes, by all means, if you were damaged, sue to get your shit back. Sue to get your money back. Sue for the fucking pain and suffering you went through. I'm not saying don't sue. I'm saying it's not going to change anything. Title 18. State laws. Anything you can sue for, there's a criminal charge for. Almost anything. So, qualified immunity. Stop talking about it. It needs reformed. Harlow versus Fitzgerald needs to be overturned. And in truth, the Ninth Circuit, the Third Circuit, and the 11th Circuit have all started the process of overturning that anyway. So it's really kind of a red herring and a fucking moot point as far as the police accountability movement goes. There's nothing to it. Criminally liable. False arrest is a Title 42, 1983, Section 242 deprivation under the color of rights lawsuit. It's also kidnapping. It's also a criminal charge. Both state and federal. Okay? And I wish these auditors would catch on to this. More importantly, I wish we had more lawyers with fucking balls. Because they're afraid to do it. Lawyers are afraid to prosecute cops. For a good reason. They're an armed army of insurgent thugs in our country. No lawyer wants to hold them fucking legally accountable. We need autistic lawyers. For fucking sure. Definitely. Definitely guilty. Definitely. And the qualified immunity thing is just bullshit. It's a waste of time. Chili's full of shit. If you know who Chili is, he's the main proponent of abolish qualified immunity in Terry v. Ohio. Shut the fuck up, man. Terry v. Ohio is just one of the tools in the toolbox of the drug war. There's nothing wrong with Terry v. Ohio as it stands on the books. Not in practice. In practice, it's a horrible invasion of the Fourth Amendment. But as it stands on the books, Terry v. Ohio doesn't have any higher standards than normal RAS. They still need reasonable articulable suspicion that you are armed and dangerous to pat you fuck down. Now, the courts right now say the fact that you're breathing and have a heartbeat is suspicion that you're armed and dangerous because you're American. In America, there's a gun behind every blade of grass. So suing these cowards ain't gonna help because they never pay. Very rarely are those cases successful, and when they are successful, they don't pay, you do. They just get you on the long end. And your neighbors. Criminally liable. Okay? Now, there's some things I'd like to pass off. If you know any auditors, or if any auditors see this, that's one of them. Shut up about qualified immunity. It does nothing. Another one is there's certain things you can say to people, but eventually it'll sink in. Like when an officer doesn't want to identify. Oh, look, another one that's ashamed to be a cop. You're ashamed to be a cop. That's why you won't say your name. Yeah, they're ashamed to be cops. They don't want no one to know who they are. Poor babies. It's really not that hard to memorize statutes verbatim. A person commits the act of failure to ID when upon lawful arrest, blah, 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 blah. Whatever your specific statute is in your specific state, if you can remember all the lyrics to Ben Harper's music, and you can remember all the fucking lines from fucking Game of Thrones or whatever the fuck it is you watch, if you can remember how to get all the way through fucking Super Mario Brothers 1, you can remember the fucking statute. So don't give me this crybaby bullshit and make weak excuses to the fucking pigs. You tell them the law. Like, what's his name? Direct D's got him in his fucking pocket. That's what the flashcards, remedial, written in crayon so they can fucking understand it. We're talking about fucking the mouth breathingest, knuckle draggingest group of people in the fucking country. You're gonna have to spell it out to them. And once you spell it out to them in black and white, they are culpable. They can't say they didn't know. So if you're gonna go out and do all these audits and shit, I don't care who you are. If you're gonna go you confront, you better bring your ammo. I see a lot of these auditors. They get into this shit and they get hung up in these cases because they haven't read all the laws and they don't know all the laws word for word. And if you're gonna fight the cops on the shit, you better know it word for word. It doesn't matter if they do or not. Because when it hits the fucking courtroom, you're gonna need to know ahead of time how those words play out in the court of law. So reading the statute is not enough. You need to read and understand the statute. You need to know the associated precedents, because laws are laws are laws are laws, but precedents are what wins cases. Okay? And you need to know the legal definition of every fucking word in the statute. There's a thing called a Black's Law Dictionary. Fucking get one. Duh. You think fucking attorneys carry around every code in the fucking world in their head? No, they got code books. And when they read a statute, they go to Black's Law Dictionary if they don't know the meaning of a specific word, like tamper or or. Because they have legal meanings. And if you don't know the legal meanings of every word of that fucking statute and the precedent opinions, you're fucked. And you have to know that shit before you go out so you don't violate that statute. Because you've drawn the fucking magnifying glass of weaponized law from armed thugs in an insurgent army of blue line fucking Ku Klux Klan members on you. That's what police are, an insurgent army. Fucking terrorist organization. Roaming the streets, extorting people, terrifying people, murdering people, raping people, planting drugs on people. I lived in a little itty bitty town in Arizona once, a long time ago. Quaint little community, quiet little community. Not really. Bunch of wackos that lived out in the desert and minded their own business. But, you know, pretty quiet on the overall, as far as hassles go. Because there's a guy named Big John. If you act like an asshole, or stole some shit, or beat somebody up, or tried to rape somebody, or got drunk and crashed your car in somebody's house and didn't pay for it, Big John come over to your house and beat the living fuck out of you. Worked way better than the cops. Just saying, he had way more fucking effect. Because he was a member of the community and people respected him, and they knew if they went too far, the community would back John when he whooped your ass. And everybody would go, "No, he fell off your bunk." Dude fell off his bunk, man. I don't know what happened. So this police accountability movement, man. These young guns they need to get with these old school. I see fucking I think it's Bay Area Transparency hangs out with them old the old Pop Brothers or whatever they're called. It's a smart motherfucker. Because us fucking drug warriors have been fighting the motherfucking cops since you guys were not born yet. Since there was no cameras, since there was no internet to get accountability, when the court of public opinion was that we were dirty fucking criminal hippies, they just didn't want a job. And that was the court of public opinion. Anybody I knew that didn't smoke pot thought it was a fucking dangerous drug. I still get people to this day treating me like a dirty pot smoking hippie. Stupid potheads. You know, like Einstein, Shakespeare, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, the winningest gold medal fucking Olympian ever, Stephen Hawking, Carl Sagan. Idiots, bunch of them. Fucking potheads. But if you got something against potheads, you're on the wrong fucking channel anyway, so fuck off. But the number one thing we need to get rid of to pull the teeth on these fucking pigs is this motherfucking drug war. Think about it. All this shit with pretextual stops. What's that all about? To pull you over to look through your car. Why? Drugs. Where's the dog come in? They're not looking for bombs. Drugs. All these violations. The drug war in itself is a fucking constitutional violation. We passed a whole motherfucking amendment to say that the fucking prohibition was over. That prohibition was wrong. That you can't prohibit people from doing something. The whole fucking alcohol prohibition thing should have settled it once and for all that prohibiting somebody's personal choices is unconstitutional. And then we let the drug laws stand. It's the number one tool of oppression against black people, against white people, against Mexican people. It's one of the number one tools of oppression here. It's one of the number one tools of oppression overseas. There was no drug laws anywhere on the books, anywhere in the world until we invented the drug war and militarized the world to fight it. Tens of millions of people, not hundreds of millions of people across the world have been locked up in dungeons and tortured over drugs. Hundreds of millions. You can take Hitler, Stalin, Mao, fucking Leopold, add them all together, Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, who the fuck ever. Every last fucking dictator in the 20th century doesn't add up to 100 million of all the people they fucking did. Hundreds of millions of people around the world. We still got countries where people are being fucking murdered for smoking pot. Killed, death sentence. That's the number one tool. All these other things, the Terry frisking, the fucking 20-minute detention so they can get a dog, the fucking Fourth Amendment violations, it all came from the fucking drug war. All of it. You think it's a coincidence that when Martin Luther King Jr. and the revolution in consciousness in the 60s happened, that bada bing, all of a sudden they just invented drug laws? No, those drug laws are always around. They knew they were unconstitutional to enforce, so they only enforced them on immigrants. Because immigrants can't sue you. It started off as a way to control people. Because their means of controlling people gets thinner and thinner and thinner all the time. These bullshit religious doctrines just become so ridiculously ludicrous that no one's willing to follow them anymore. And you can't separate the two. You can't separate the evil being done on this planet from religion, from the cults. I'm going to stop calling it religion, from cults. Because that's what the fuck these are. These are cults. You got a Christian cult, you got a Catholic cult, you got fucking Presbyterian cults, you got Muslim cults, you got motherfucking Jewish cults, you got all these cults. They're fucking cults. Fucking mind fucking people. You got a whole planet full of fucking idiots that can't respect each other. You can't figure out how to leave somebody the fuck alone and let them do their own fucking thing. So fuck all these cults. And fuck all these cults of personality, which is all politics is. Every one of you motherfuckers I ever met in my life that voted can't tell me the first fucking thing about any one of those politicians' voting careers or motherfucking policies or anything. You don't know shit. You just know the fucking sound bites they feed you on TV. And they don't do anything. Give speeches and collect checks. You ever watch one of these fucking committees that they pay these guys all this money to fucking sit on? These Senate committees, these fucking congressional committees, these fucking meetings that they have. You ever watch one of them? They're not doing a fucking thing. They're giving fucking endless speeches that never go anywhere. For the record, that's all they're doing. And they're not doing anything. These politicians just dance when the fucking money man rings. And we gotta fix that. And in order to fix that, we're gonna need to fucking put the dogs on a leash. The boys in blue. The jump ball boys. The pigs. The heat. The fuzz. 5 Up. 7 Up. Bubble gums. Cherries and berries. Yankee Stopple. The boys. Man, that's the fucking boys, dude. Ditch it. You know how many fucking bags of weed I threw out the car window? Fucking pigs. So yeah, man, this whole fucking. I guess that's my advice wish I could get to these young auditors and shit. Shut up about qualified immunity. In fact, shut up about the political end of this at all. Stick to your Constitution. Know your fucking laws, know your precedents. And for fuck's sake, if you're the type of person that's going to go out in public and pick a fight with the fucking cops, and you don't have a lawyer on retainer, don't come begging to me for fucking cash apps or anybody else, you stupid idiot. Before you poke the bear, you load the gun, fuckhead. Duh, Floyd. No, I'm not gonna fucking sit and watch anybody's videos of some motherfucker crying for lawyer money after he done fucked up. After he didn't know the law. After he didn't do the right thing. After he played stupid games and won a stupid prize. Fuck all that. Let some other sucker pay your bills. I tried to fucking educate a motherfucker so that shit don't happen in the first fucking place. For one, you're gonna get paid way more often if you do what the officer says. Arguing with the cops just makes you look bad. Do what the officer says and shut the fuck up. They will violate your rights anyway. Just follow orders, shut the fuck up, and then sue. Bring charges. Criminal charges. This prior restraint that you keep hearing auditors talk about, this is a real thing. You can bring real charges. It's a fucking crime. Do it. But somebody's got to make precedents. One of my favorite auditors is Batosai. And he may or may not have had a lawyer lined up before he got into it. But I never saw him begging nobody for no fucking money to do it. And calling people losers and being pissed off. You come try it. None of this fucking crybaby ego bullshit. He wasn't doing it for the hits, for the likes, for the fucking blah, blah, blah. He was doing it because it was the right fucking thing to do. And he had the balls and the tools to do it. My only wish is that he too would start enforcing Title 18. And I know it's fucking hard to find a lawyer with the balls enough to do that, especially in some place like Texas or Florida or Georgia or California. So yeah, Gorilla Glue is good pot, and you should smoke it as often as possible. This is my endorsement. Anyway, I just wanted to smoke this joint and ramble on for a while. And hope y'all are doing something about this shit. I know I am. Creating a tiny army of little fucking hyper-educated dickheads with cameras. Pushing them out into the world to do their thing. A couple other points I'd like to make. Very young auditors who know their shit and don't back down. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Good idea. Number 2, cop watching. You might want to dress up like a clown and then borrow your buddy's giant Spanish bulldog. Give him something to think about. Peace.